Hi, I'm Eleanor and welcome to MotorMatters, the channel that brings you the latest, the greatest, the newest and the best in motoring in South Africa. And before I go any further, thank you to everybody that got us to 25,000 subscribers. We did it. But now the road to 30, 50 and 100 starts here. But what are we looking at today? Well, you can't miss the kidney grills. Of course, it's a BMW. The F70 Generation 1 Series. So this is the entry to BMW in South Africa. You heard me. Can you believe it? That's what it is. It's in this very unusual metallic purple color that I have spoken about, and I put another video out about it. It's one of these colors that changes shade and changes hue depending on sunlight, depending on light conditions. You either love it or you hate it, don't you? I'll reserve my judgment on it. How's that? But it's about the car. So let's forget the color for now. This also is an M Sport. So that means it's got certain little features that are different. For example, the grille's blacked out. And I must say, I must like the fact that this grille is not the over large, overdone grille on some of the current BMWs. Again, matter of opinion. But the spoiler in front, blacked out, you can see over there. You've of course got LED, BMW LED headlights. You expect features like that. They really are, and they're excellent headlights. I've got to tell you, driving at night is an absolute pleasure because you know you can see where you're going. You know you can see what you're doing. BMW alloy wheels, the bicolor, the black and silver over there, 18 inches. Being an M Sport, there were occasions I found it a touch hard on the road. But of course, M Sport also means, and you want it to mean, that it handles, it's got that little bit of extra sportiness to it. So it's a trade-off. You can, according to the figures and the stats I've seen, get without the M Sport, which maybe would just be slightly more docile ride, can I call it that? But there's the M Sport badge. Another feature of this car, I can't tell you if it's an M Sport feature or just on this car, but of course it's got the BMW sport seats up front. Look at that. Obviously with electric adjustment, with memories, with everything else that you expect. But they do hug you nicely. Chunky little steering wheel. We'll show you more of the interior in a few minutes. So let's just move right now to the back seat. Driver's seat is set for me. So let's take a look. What's it like in the back? And legroom is decent with my driving position. I'm not going to call it massive. Headroom, my hat just makes it. And interestingly, panoramic roof, but note it's not right over the back seats like a lot of other cars. It ends sort of midway. And a nice feature is the fact you've got two USB-Cs down there in the back seat. So of course a good feature over there. You want that. You want connectivity. You want to drive with passengers in the car. Those are the kind of things you want to be sure you have all the way along. Of course, the 1 Series is a hatchback. Hatchbacks are not as popular as they used to be, but that's what it is in the range. And I think it's a very neat looking car. Again, you can see very sloped towards the rear. So it's a coupe hatchback, can I call it that? You've got LED lighting at the rear over there. You've got the diffuser, again, blacked out because it's an M Sport. So all those sort of features, and you do have a powered tailgate. Now let's have a look. We'll lift up the boot board. And interestingly, you can do that, but I don't think it comes out. But you have got a nice extra section. Look at this, underneath the boot board. So that is quite useful. No spare wheel in typical BMW fashion. They run on run flats. Again, no comment. So let's have a look. I think BMW quoted a figure of about 380 litres. Remembering I've left the boot board in place. I'm going to call this about a 1.5 Allen because, funnily enough, it's quite narrow. So you can see I've got my knees right up. But let's give it a 1.5 Allen rating, okay? And nice flat load sill, thank you for that. What's under the bonnet? Well, 3-cylinder engine, believe it or not. 1.5 litre turbo. So it is, every now and then when you want to push it, you do get that nice little 3-cylinder buzziness about it. But it is pretty refined. It puts out 115 kilowatts, 230 newton meters of torque, 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, and interestingly for a BMW that they avoided for so many years driving the front wheels. But I'll bet you 90+% of people who buy this car will not either know that it's a front wheel drive or will not worry about that fact. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. Let's check it on the road, and of course let's have a look inside. Out cruising in the 118i, it confuses in the sense that you find it hard to believe that it's a little 1.5 litre 3-cylinder. It feels way smoother, way more powerful than that, but that's modern turbo engines for you. Got paddles behind the wheel to give you the sporty feel, and talk about sporty feel, the ride is definitely sporty hard, can I call it that? So it's got that, it's got, I mean, a chunky steering wheel in my hands over here. Feels so good. Minimal buttons on the steering wheel, a lot less than I'm used to, but that's not a bad thing. Nice single panel for the screens across the dash over here, and very big, nice infotainment screen. Below you've got your ambient lighting over here. It's an interesting effect, and I'm sure I could change the color from purple, but I have to notice the fact that it's also in the corners of the dashboard, and that does at night reflect in the wing mirrors, and it does make a little bit of an interference in my view, particularly on my driver's side. I felt that, but it's a minor point. I don't think it's a big deal. Obviously center console, you've got an inductive charging pad, you've got the toggle for the gear shift, you've got multi-modes, although I'm just in normal mode, but you've got multi-modes, you've got all those sort of things that you'd expect again from a car of this sort. And I think electric adjustment, driver's seat, I think they're probably sport seats, maybe not standard, because they are definitely very, very sporty feeling, leather, all those sort of things again. Overall, it's planted, it's solid, it feels way more sporty than a 118 or a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder would make you think it should be, but somehow it just gives you a BMW feel. Jumping in behind the wheel, you've got full instrumentation as you'd expect. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even measured fuel consumption on this car. I was having fun and I didn't worry about it. But look, that 1.5 is going to depend on how you drive it. 3-cylinder engines are notorious for being a bit heavier if you want to really use the performance, but they're pretty good if you just cruise around. You do have nice big paddles behind the steering wheel and a simplified steering wheel, as in not a plethora of buttons, etc. on the wheel, but everything you need, everything that's important. That's, of course, what I like. You've got really neat treatment on the doors over here, and you will have seen the nighttime effect, of course, of that lighting, the interior lighting that you get, inductive lighting. So let's leave that for now. Again, a matter of whether you like it or not. You come over to the center screen over here, and to what screen, of course, I do, and I've commented many times, the one piece across the front of the car. I really think it works nicely, looks good, looks very effective. You've also got this sort of sloping on the dashboard, tumbling down towards the passenger over there. The stripes, well, it's BMW M Sport. They want you to see it, they want you to know it. It's up to you. Upgraded Harman Kardon sound system, by the way, in the car as well. Really nice. You come down over here, your ventilation, and you've got an inductive charging pad over there. It works well. And I've got to tell you, wireless, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all work very well. 2 USB-Cs up front as well. So no USB-As, USB-C. But anyway, let's not worry about that. And you've got this stubby little gear shifter over there. Something you've just got to get used to, I suppose. But, well, I don't know. Stop-start button over there, electronic parking brakes, and of course this one over here. Now come back up to the screen, because when you press that button over there, of course you can have personal, sport, or efficient modes, not economy. I've just left it in the normal mode. I must be honest, I haven't even fiddled with it on this test, but you can, if you want to, use all these different modes. So they're there if you want them. Obviously, as I said from the start, this is the smallest car in the BMW range, and it is a smallish car, but it's a really sporty small car. Can I call it that? The F70 has brought a lot of changes. I must say, I like the stubby little steering wheel. It feels good in your hands. I don't use paddles unless I'm on a racetrack or a really fancy, nice mountain pass. But that's me, and it'll depend on your wants, likes, etc. I haven't shown you the reverse camera, of course. Let me just show you that quickly. And there you go. Okay, so it's got, obviously, the front or rear view. It's got the overheads, and of course this car does have, I never use it, and I'll be honest, to test it, the reverse parking or forward parking. It remembers the last 50 meters and will do that automatically, autonomously, if you want it to. I don't use those, I must be honest. You'll probably say I'm wrong, but that's just me. You'll have to put up with it. So, what's it going to cost you to put one of these on the driveway? That's the question. According to what I have read and looked up and the information, and remembering with these cars, often there are extras. But a 118 M Sport, approximately 750,000 Rand. So it's a lot of money for a smaller car, but it's not a lot of money for a BMW. How does that sound to you? I'm going to throw it and contradict myself in a way. It really is a fun car to drive. It has the BMW badges. It is unmistakably BMW. And if that's what the image you want to put out to the world, well, there it is for you. 5-year, 100,000 kilometer full maintenance plan. Of course, BMW were one of the forerunners for having that in the market. Overall, an interesting choice. I'll end by saying I'm not quite sure I want this color on the exterior, but of course, there are plenty of other colors to choose from, so that can't be your choice or affect your decision. But a nice car to drive and a fun car to drive in a lot of ways. For MotorMatters, I'm Alan R. See you next time.